Hey there, Ashley here with Keeping It Crafty with Ashley. So this is the 4x4" canvas tutorial. I'm going to go over the supplies that you are receiving in your mini Mandala canvas kit. So you're going to get a canvas stand. You're going to get this canvas that is base coated in black with the stencils already drawn on for you so that you're able to just hop right into painting. But this is the stand that goes with it. You've got your stylus tools. These are ballpoint stainless steel dotting tools. There's 5 of them. You've got your paints. There are 6 paint colors, and then you've got a really pretty champagne metallic color. And then I like to call these acrylic rods, but they're known as like dowels, acrylic dowels, but these are for our larger dots. And there are 8 of these, I believe. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yep. And there are 8 of these to go with it. So for this 4x4 tutorial, we're going to do a smaller version of this guy. This is a 6x6. So we're just going to do a smaller version of this. I will be referring to the size of the tools just to familiarize yourself with that, but also be telling you like this is a 2.5 millimeter in the purple glittery ballpoint. So I'll be referring to them as that so that you're able to familiarize yourselves with sizes eventually if you do decide to continue working on mandalas and even larger ones. Okay, so now that we've gone over the tools, I will see you in a second to start painting. Okay, so we are going to start with our purple dotting rod, and this size is going to be the 8 millimeter, and we're going to start going from light to dark. So we're going to start with this color. We're going to open up our paint pot. And you are going to take your dotting rod and we're going to dip it into our paint. Oops, sorry guys. I'm just looking to make sure that I have enough paint loaded onto my rod, and we're going to go right over that center. And I've heard that it's easier to watch me first. And then start painting. And these are just baby wipes. You can use paper towels, wet paper towel, a microfiber cloth, and if you've got baby wipes hanging around like I do, those work just as well. So that was our 8 millimeter dotting rod going from light to dark. So this is that lighter color. And I'm just going to grab some random tool and I'm going to swirl my paint because we are going to end up top dotting these, and when we swirl our paint it dries flat, and you just don't want that little dimple in the middle or else it's hard to dot on top. Okay, so now we're going to switch to a 1.5 millimeter ballpoint pen, a ballpoint tool. I mean, this is that gold orange color, and we're going to go to the next color. Open it up. And we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to grab our paint. I like to kind of swirl it around. I'm just looking to make sure I have enough paint on my tool. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go north, south, east, west. I like to do this method. Even though we've got our lines here, it's still a good method, especially on larger mandalas. So I'm going to place my first dot right on top, and let me zoom you guys in a little bit so you can see. So that was north, and I'm wiping my tool off in between each time I grab for paint. Grabbing paint again, south. And the reason why I like to wipe my paint off in between is so that we can keep the same size dot. Otherwise, if we keep grabbing without cleaning off our tool, the dots will get larger. Grabbing more paint, east, wiping my tool off, west. And we want to stay as close to this dot, that center dot, as we can. Again, grabbing paint, and I'm turning my canvas north. south, wiping my tool off, staying close to our center dot, east, west, okay, so now that we have dotted our first layer of dots around that center, we're going to move on to the next color, and we're going to stick with that same size tool, and that's that 1.5 in gold. Make sure we wipe our tool off really well with our baby wipes, and we're going to go to this pretty green mint color. Again, I'm picking up paint, and we're going to go right in between. So watch me first, like that. And you can see that I've got my dot resting like right in between. And I'm going to skip a dot. I'll show you why and explain why. Actually, no, I don't need to this time. So actually, I'm just going to go straight to this one, and I'm just going to dot right in between like that. And then again, this is a 1.5 millimeter dotting tool in that glitter gold color, orange gold color. It's like a copper almost. And then make sure you're wiping your tool off in between. Again here. Make sure we try to get as close to these two here. Loading up my tool. Oops, let me wipe my tool off first. And then grab. Wiping my tool off. I'm gently pressing my tool up against the canvas, so don't be afraid to touch your canvas with your dotting tool. And then one more. Okay, so I'm going to close this up. And the next color we're going to go up a size, and that is the 2 millimeter, and this is the pink and teal one. So this is the 2 millimeter dotting tool. It's the larger end of this one. So it's a 2 millimeter. It's a little bit bigger. And we're going to go to this next color. It's a little bit more blue. So 2 millimeter. So the larger end. I'm going to do the same thing. Get right in between, like that. So it's almost as if it's going to touch that tan color. So right in between, but not too low that it's touching these. You just don't want them to touch. Again, make sure you wipe your tool off. I've just been dotting for so long that I forget to wipe my tool off, because I know, like, how much pressure to put down. But for you guys as beginners, you should always wipe your tool off until you become more comfortable, so that the sizes all stay the same. And it's pretty much right over those segment lines. Last one in the 2 millimeter for me. Sorry, I keep knocking the camera. Okay. So I'm going to close this one up. And now we're going to go a little bit larger. we're gonna go, let's see. Oops. What size is this? This is, I just want to double check size. I believe this is a 4mm in the rod. Just want to make sure before I, okay. So this is a 4mm dotting rod. It's the light blue. There's two different blues in these. It's the lighter one. So you need the 4mm rod. And we're gonna go to that next color in our paint palette. Just be careful when you open these. Maybe don't open them over your canvas. And we're gonna load up our tool, swirling the paint, dipping it in, and we're gonna go right in between again. So watch me first, and we're gonna place our dot. And it looks like we should be right in this segment line. If you feel like your dots are going more one way than the other, this is a good time to make adjustments. And I'll see if I'm off a little bit, and I'll kind of explain. But you want to definitely, so that we stay symmetrical with one another, you want to make sure at least to stay within these lines. So again, this is that 4mm, and I'll show you. We'll talk it through. 4mm. And I'll put a little bit of paint down first, and then decide if I need to put more down. Like, that's why I was kind of tapping a little bit, so I won't press go in all the way. Make sure you wipe your tool off, grabbing more paint. And yeah, see, I can see that I'm just slightly off. So what I'll do is I'll bring my dot up a little bit closer to that segment line so that, oops, we all stay within that first ring. So again, right in between, dotting carefully. Yep, staying underneath that line. Make sure you wipe your tool off. Grabbing paint. Going right in between. Might need to make this a little bit. Nope, that's okay. Okay. Here. We're going right over that line, but staying within that circle so that we stay symmetrical with one another. Whip my tool off, and then one more with this 4mm. And we can move on to that last color. Okay. All right, so I'm going to close that one, and we're going to move on to that last one, and we're going to go bigger. And this is when we'll start doing, these are called, or what I call petals. We're going to do some petal work. So these here. So we're going to make the dot big enough like this, that one, so that we can start doing petal work. All right, so let me see what size. So that was a 4mm. Do we want to jump to 8? Might want to jump to 8 to get those nice big petals. Let me just double check size. I just like to be sure. Yep, and that's why I wanted to be sure. This is a 6. Let me see. 6mm. And if we skip in between. Okay. So this is that darker blue. We're going to use a 6mm, and we're going to grab that 6th color. And what we're going to do is we're going to dot in between these two segment lines. There's this one here and then that one. So watch me first, and we're going to dot right over the segment line that intersects. We're going to have that dot intersect. So watch me first. I'm going to place my 6mm dot in between those lines like that. Okay. I'm going to turn. Make sure you wipe your tool off. Let me grab another baby wipe. So again, 6mm, right over that line, and we're going to stay in between these two here. Again. Now after this third one, we're going to swirl our paint so that the dot dries flat. So again, right in between and right over that segment line so that the line intersects through the center of that dot. And you can grab whatever tool. This is a 1.5 in the gold. And I'm just going to swirl the paint so that when it dries flat, because we are going to top dot these to layer them up. So again, 6mm dotting rod into our paint. Make sure you wipe your tool off. I forgot, too late now. Use your dotting tool to swirl your paint. Again. In between those lines. Turn. Swirl my paint, and then we got one more dot, and we can start our petal work. Cleaned off my tool. Oops, didn't grab enough, so I'm just going to go back in and grab and dot over it again, like so. And of course swirl. Okay, now we can start petals, and now we're going to work in reverse with our colors. Okay, so we've done, this is number 6, we're going to go to number 5, and you're going to need the size 2mm, and the 2mm is this pink and teal glitter one. So 2mm, and we're going to go to this 5th paint pot. Okay. So with my 2mm, I'm going to swirl the paint, make sure I load it up well, and we're going to go right on top. So this line is not intersecting right down the middle, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to slowly bring that line back so that my petals stay even. So I'm going to gradually move my dots over so you can't see, so that my dots are directly over that line. That makes sense. So I clean my tool off. This one's fine. I'm going to dot right on top here. Wipe my tool off, turn, dot right on top here. Tool. This one's fine. Might just be that one line. And that could have been from me, maybe somewhere in here the dot was just not right over the line, or in between the line or something like that. But that's an easy fix. So this dot's over to the right a little bit, so I'm going to just start shifting my dot over to the left, so that by the time we get up here, my dot is entirely over that line. So we can follow it up. Okay, so we're going to switch to the other side, because that was the larger side of our dotting tool. So we're going to flip our tool over, and this size is the 1.5mm. So 1.5mm, and we're going to walk the dots. This is what I call this technique. So from here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, until it gets small. So wipe your tool off. It's important for walking the dots. Now we're going to work on the other side. 1, 2, 3. And it doesn't have to be exactly 5, exactly 6. And I'll start counting in my head, but I like to count in my head. I feel like it helps me keep my dots evenly spaced. But it doesn't have to be 5, exactly 5. It doesn't have to be exactly 6. It's in my head. So grabbing more paint, I just wipe my tool off, and then we're gonna slowly walk the dots around. Again, wiping my tool off. Uh-oh, something in my paint. Pet glitter. So I'm just gonna, I'm just gonna leave it for now. I'll pull it out later. So again, 1.5 millimeter. It's the smaller end of our teal and pink tool, and we're gonna carefully walk around. Wiping our tool off. Couple more. Okay. So we're going to keep with the same size tool for the next color. So we're going to flip it back over to the larger side, that size, that's that 2 millimeter. Close this up. We're going to go to that fourth color, 1, 2, 3, 4. Actually, I'll make sure I number these for you guys. And we're going to grab with the larger end of this one, that's that 2 millimeter. And we're going to stay under this segment line. And right over, I'm going to place the dot for the second layer of the petal. So under this line, right over the line here. Again, underneath and over. So if you feel like you've got a little bit more room, like I've got a little bit more room in between here, I'll just lift my dot up to be closer underneath this line. So here, right over, wiping my tool off. So to get this back on the line here, see I can see my line is a little bit over to the right more than I want it to be. I'm going to bring this dot right over. Oops, didn't load up my tool enough. Like that. So those small little adjustments will bring you back on track. So like this one, my line's over to the right a little bit. So I'm just going to bring it back. I used to worry about my dots not being perfectly over those lines until I learned those minor adjustments nobody will ever be able to see. Okay, so now we're going to flip the tool back over to the smaller end, which is the 1.5 millimeter. Grabbing more paint, same color, and we're going to do that same walking the dots technique. So right here, we're going to walk all the way around to about there. Again, Grabbing paint and walking all the way around. Put my tool off. Again. And we want to stay in between these segment lines. We don't want to cross over. Paint. And carefully walking the dots until they get smaller. Actually, I'm going to pour more blue into my paint well. Yours will be filled. Okay. Oops. So 1.5 millimeter. Switching over. And I like to work in one direction to the right, especially if you're right-handed. You don't want to cross over and accidentally put your hand, rest your hand in your paint. But obviously if you're left-handed, you probably want to go to the left while you're painting. Oops, let me get you guys back on. Wiping my tool off, grabbing more paint. And I'm touching the back, the canvas with my tool. It's also a matter of preference. I know some daughters don't touch the back of their canvas or whatever they're painting on, their surface, but I like to. Okay. Again. I got one more, and then we'll move on to the next color. Okay, so for this next part, we are going to do a larger dot again, probably about this size. And that is, let me just double check size again. Let me close this. And we're going to move to, this is the dark blue. Just don't want to tell you guys the wrong size. Yep, 6 millimeter. Okay, we're going to go to that third color over from the left. This way. So this is a 6 millimeter dotting rod. It's the darker blue, and we're going to dot. So watch me first in between these two lines. So we're going to stay even with the top of those, the top dot petal. And we're going to place our dot right there. Wiping our tool off. Again. Here. Let's go ahead and swirl our paint so that it dries flat. Right in between. Grabbing paint again, make sure you wipe your tool off. Do as I say, not as I do. Just so used to. Swirl your paint, wipe your tool off. Right in between those segment lines. Again. Between. Then one more, and then we'll swirl our paint. Okay. Okay, so we're going to do the same method. We're going to use a 2mm dotting tool, and that's, let me clean that, oh, it's cleaned off. Okay, that's that pink and teal again. I'm going to use that same color, 2mm, and it's the larger end of this pink and teal glitter. Oops, wait a minute. That's not what I want to do. I'm sorry. Wrong color. And I'm actually going to let that dry, and then I'm going to dot over it, I think. Or, better yet, so use this is when the cotton swab comes in handy. So I just twirled my cotton swab away to pull up that paint. There, and you guys can see how I fix a mess. Okay, so we're gonna go to that second color, and again, I'll make sure I write the numbers on here. So that's the second color. Again, so 2mm, and that's the larger end of the pink and teal swirly tool. And we're gonna top dot. So this is a little to the left. So to bring it back, I'm just going to slowly start dotting over the line. This is over the line. Wiping off my tool. Grabbing that tan color over the line. Over the line. And as you can see, we're right above that line that goes around. Over. And one more right over, and that's the one that I cleaned up. That's why some of that line's gone. Okay. Closing that up. Or no, I need to leave it open because we're going to flip our tool over, and we're going to use the 1.5mm side to walk the dots. So you need that color open. So 1.5mm, it's the smaller end of this tool. We're just going to flip it over, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to walk the dots around. Make sure you wipe your tool off though. Again. And we're just stopping right. We're not going to be able to go all the way around because of our dots. We're going to do something else in between to fill up that negative space. So again, I'm just making my dots a little bit closer. Looks like I can get about 5 in there, but again, It doesn't have to be exactly 5, just to give you a reference. It's about 4 or 5 dots in between. Okay, wiping my tool off. Okay, so we got that first layer of the petal. We're gonna go to this final color. So that's the first one. We're gonna go, whoops, a little bit bigger. This time we're gonna use a 2.5 millimeter, and that's the purple, and it's the larger end of the purple glitter tool. So the 2.5 millimeter. And we're gonna be right underneath this line here. This is line that goes around. Oops, grab more. It should be slightly bigger than that one. Again, make sure you wipe your tool off. Oops, I'll put my finger in the paint. Don't do that. Right over this line, or right underneath that segment line that goes around. And I'm just going to let this dot dry. I don't know if you can tell, but it's a little squished. But I'm going to let it dry, and then I'll just end up top dotting that to clean it up a little bit again. Cleaning my tool off. Right over that line. Last one. So you can see that we're staying right underneath that line going around. Now we're going to flip our tool over. This side is also a 1.5 millimeter. I'm going to grab that same color, and we are going to walk the dots around. Oops, okay. Not grab enough paint. There we go. Again, make sure you wipe your tool off. Just be careful where you are resting your hand. And how you're turning your canvas. Nope, I meant to dot the other side first so that I'm not crossing my hand over wet paint. Just gotta make sure I keep keep my hand elevated. Wiping my tool off, grabbing more paint. Last one, then we're going to move on to that pretty metallic color. It's a champagne gold that I thought would look really pretty with this. I was going for like a beachy color palette, and I thought champagne gold would be so pretty because it reminds me of sand glistening in the sun. Okay. Alright, so I've cleaned off my tool. I'm going to close this one and we're going to go to that pretty champagne gold. That's that single pot. Okay, see how glittery it is? So pretty. Okay, so we're going to go up a size. We're going to do a 4mm. I believe it's this green one. Let me just double check. Got a conversion chart pulled up on my phone, on my computer. It is not this one. It is this one. So it's that light blue acrylic dotting rod. And I'm going to swirl the paint around to pick some up. And I'm going to rest my paint pot. Let me show you guys real quick. I'm going to rest it just like that in between so it stays sitting up because it will kind of fall backwards. Okay, so we're going to go right over this line above that petal we just finished. Make sure you wipe your tool off. So right there. Okay, turn, grab more paint. You probably notice this consistency is a little bit different. So just be careful when you're pulling up because it is a little bit more stringy. So swirling my paint, dotting right on top, turning again. Grabbing more paint. Can you guys see? There we go. Okay. Wiping my tool off for that final dot. I'm going to go over to the right a little bit. Okay, there we go. Right on top. All right. So now we're going to use our, let me see, 2mm. We're going to go back to this size, the 2mm. It's the larger size of the two on the pink and teal dotting tool. And I'm going to grab paint and we are going to walk the dots around. Other side. Okay, turning my canvas. Grabbing more paint now that I've cleaned my tool off. Tool off. Almost looks kind of like a starfish. Those larger ones. I didn't grab enough. Turning. More. Again, do as I say, not as I do. I'm just so used to the tools that I don't have to wipe them off every time. But since you guys are just starting out, because this is a beginner style mandala, I suggest you do it. My tool off. Okay. Now, I'm going to close this up. Let me see. So we're going to start adding some detail work in between, or actually, let's do our dots first on the inside. There's something that I want to do on the inside. We're going to start with that number 6. So this is number 6 once I label them. That's that dark blue. Let me open it up. I find that opening it away from you is the easiest. Okay, let me see what size I want to use. Let's do let me double check. This is a 4, correct? I think I want to do a 4. Yep, so we're going to use that 4mm tool that we were just using. And what we're going to do, or actually, let me see, because that line doesn't go all the way up. Let's do a 3, or 2.5, I should say. Let's use a 2.5 sized dot. And what we're going to do is we're going to take that number 6 color, that dark blue, and we're going to start here first. And we're going to dot right over, so watch me. We're going to dot right over this line that goes around. We're going to do it again on this side. We're going to dot right on top of this line here. Do the same thing here. Right over the line, and that's the 2.5. It's the larger side of the purple glitter tool. So it's the larger side, right over this line. So you are right on the edge. Again, 2.5. Make sure you're wiping your tool off. Got a couple more. Okay, so I'm right on that line. Okay, I'll wipe my tool off and I'm going to flip my tool over to that 1.5, same color, and we're going to walk the dots right down this line. So I'll show you, and I'm placing my finger on the corner so that I can make sure that the canvas doesn't move. So I'm walking straight down, 1, 2, looks like I can get about 3 there. Turn, grab more paint, wipe my tool off, walk down the line, Okay, so now what we're gonna do, we're gonna keep this size and we're gonna go down one color. So this is gonna be the number 5 color. Go slightly lighter. We're gonna keep the 2.5. Let me see, let me just double check. Yeah, we're gonna keep the 2.5 millimeter. That's that purple swirly, the larger end, and we're gonna use that number 5 color. And we're gonna do the same thing twice. So watch me first, grabbing my paint, and we're gonna go right in between these two colors here, and we're gonna place our 2.5 millimeter dot here. Grab again, try to find the middle, like that, turn it. 2.5 millimeter. Find the middle of the gold, that champagne color, and this darker blue. Again, try to find the middle. Wiping my tool off. Turning. Between. Kind of eyeballing it a little bit. Grabbing, and just again, you want to stay right above that segment line that goes around. Wiping my tool off. Okay, last one. Okay. Alright, so I'm wiping my tool off and we're going to flip over to that 1.5, still keeping that same color tool. Flip it over to the 1.5 millimeter, it's the smaller end of the purple. Now watch me first. We're going to do the walking the dots technique again, but we're going to curve it around. So 1, 2, and then right in between. So again, watch me first. 1, 2, 3. Again. Make sure you're wiping your tool off. So we're just envisioning a line that curves. Okay, I'm gonna wipe my tool off. Envisioning a line that curves. Kind of visualizing myself if I were to dot around. It's a good way to visualize it too. Okay, I got one more. There's one more thing that I want to do to the outside of the design before we start adding like top dots and then filling in spaces in between. We are going, I don't know why I said it like that. We are going to use, this is where I want to use the 4 millimeter. So then we're going to use a 4 millimeter dotting rod. We're going to go back to that dark color number 6. 4 millimeter rod, it's the lighter blue. Loading up my paint. Let me show you guys. So I'm just swirling, picking up, and we're gonna dot right over the top here. And we're just gonna do it in the four corners. So one, so we're kind of like going right over where the two cross, where they intersect. Right about there, 4 times. Just to lift this dot up a little bit more. Okay, so we have the base of our mandala done. I'm gonna wipe my tool off. We need this to dry. It usually takes about an hour. Acrylic paint dries pretty fast, especially out here in the desert. But I'm gonna set this aside to let it dry, and then we'll start playing with top dots and just adding more detail in the center to really bring the mandala to life. Okay, so let it dry for about an hour and I'll see you later. Okay, so it's been about an hour for me since the drying time. You should be able to touch it without it smearing. And we're gonna start with our top dots now. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna start from the center and work our way out. I'm gonna grab the number 2 color. It's this tan color. Open it away from myself so I don't get paint all over me. Okay, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna find a tool that's slightly smaller than the dot in the center. Wasn't this one? It was the 6mm. Let me just double check. Almost sure this is the 6mm, but I just want to be sure. Yep. Okay, so 6mm in this number 2 color, this tan color. And then we're going to need some drying time in between again after we place these first few. Okay, so we're going to go right on top. Okay, let me pull you in a little bit. There we go. Wiping my tool off. And I'm going to swirl the paint for this as well because we're going to put a dot of that champagne color. Now we're going to go, let me see what I want to do here. I think I like, no, let's actually do that. So we're going to use the 0.8mm. So this is a magenta color. We're going to use the smaller end of the magenta color, so the smaller size. And we're going to use that number 1, this off-white color, it's like an ivory, with that 0.8mm tool. And we're going to go right in between these dots. So I can get about 2 out of that. Wipe my tool off, go in between. Wipe my tool off. I'm gonna go in between. Wiping my tool off. Then again, twice. Okay. All right, so now we're gonna move up to this next size dot here, these here, and we're gonna pull up this lighter color here. So that's gonna be the number 4. So it's that in-between one. So 1, 2, 3, 4. That 4th one, right next to that green color. We're gonna find our 4mm rod. That's that lighter blue, 4mm, and we are going to top dot right here. So again, 4mm, wiping my tool off. You want to top dot right over the top there. So 4mm. You want to show a little bit of that color on the bottom. Probably could have gone a little bit smaller, but that's okay. So 4mm right on top. Okay, I'm gonna let that dry. That's gonna get another layer of dots too. All right, we're gonna actually keep our 4mm, And we're gonna go up to the number 5 color, the second one from the left, and we're gonna top dot these guys here. So these dots here with a 4mm again, I'm gonna dot right in the middle. 4mm, right in the middle. Grabbing more paint. Going all the way around. Yeah, these larger dots, we're gonna do 3 layers of dotting. And you can already see the dimension it adds. Okay, now we're gonna use the same color. I'm gonna clean off my rod. Let me see, we're gonna use a 1.5. So we're gonna use a 1.5mm, and I'm gonna use that magenta color again in the same color, and we're gonna dot right in between here, like so. Okay, so right underneath that petal. So here and right in between. So 1.5 all the way around. Just to fill up some of that space. Turning our canvas very carefully. And this is again that 1.5mm. And now we're all the way around. Okay, so now we're gonna go up to the next set of petals, that more green color, close this off. And then we're gonna go to the color, I'm gonna use this color here, this light color. So that number 1 color. And we're gonna go back to the 4mm dotting rod in that first color, number 1. We're gonna go right over the top. Again, right over the top. Right over the center. There we go. And now we're going to put some top dots just on this first larger dot here in the middle, and we're going to go a shade down. So we know this is number 6, so we're going to go to number 5, a shade down, and we're going to use a 2mm. Where's that 2mm at? So this is the 2mm. It's the larger end of the teal and light pink dotting tool. And we're going to go into number 5. And pull guys down. And we're going to top dot here. And I'm just going to gradually walk down. Let me switch. So at that second one, so after the second one, after you've walked, switch to a 1.5 to walk it down on top. So this side, we're going to just use a 1.5 here on the side. So 1.5. Walking it down. You still want to see that color underneath. So I'm going to flip my tool back over to 2mm. Make sure you guys can see. I'm going right over the top. Dotting twice, and then I'm going to flip over to my 1.5 to get small. Like that. I'm going to keep my 1.5. Dot on top here. Turn, flip my tool over, dotting on top twice, flipping my tool over. Make sure you wipe your tool off at this point because I'm definitely gonna need to grab in with my 1.5 side, that smaller end, dotting down, keeping that 1.5, going over here. Carefully dotting over those, turning, flipping over, dotting down. You notice I'm not going back to grab more paint when I'm walking. It's that same method of walking the dots just on top. Okay, made it around. Now for these, we're just going to keep that 2 millimeter. We're going to go a shade down again, so that's the number 4 here, and we're just going to top dot the ones to the side. So 4 millimeter, excuse me, 2 millimeter in the color, in the number 4 color, and we're going to top dot here. And we're not going to walk the dots this time. I'm going to leave those alone. So 2 millimeter right on top. Turning my canvas very carefully. 2 millimeter. Turning my canvas. 2 millimeter. Again. I'm kind of using the side of my tool. Okay, got 2 more. Grab more paint. Turning and grabbing more paint. And I actually skipped a step, but that's okay. We'll go back to it. We just got to be careful. Okay, so I wanted to dot down here, down the center here, and we're going to use that number 1 color. Or actually, let's use the green. Let's use this color. Let's use the number 3 color. And we're going to use the 1.5 millimeter, the smaller end of that same tool we've been using. So 1.5. And we're going to walk down. Looks like I can get about 3. 1, 2, 3. Turn. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to wipe my tool off because I can tell my dots are getting a little bit too big. 1, 2, 3. And then having this color also kind of defines each layer of petaling. And again, if you've got more space in here, it does not have to be consistently 3. I just like to count in my head to help me keep the spacing even. Okay, last one for me. Let me just do a look over just to make sure I didn't miss anything, because we're going to need this to dry one more time, and then that'll be the final layer of top dotting. Okay, let's see. I think I got it all. Yep. Okay, so we are going to set this aside one more time to let it dry for about an hour. Let me zoom you guys out a little bit so you can see better. Yeah, we're going to let this dry for about an hour, and then we'll add our final top dots, and then this will be done. Okay, I'll see you about an hour. Okay, so it has been 1 hour of letting this dry, and now we're going to be adding on our final top dots. Okay, so right here in the center, we're going to use that champagne gold. Open this up, and we're going to use the size 4 acrylic rod. We're going to go right over the middle like that. Closing this up. Now we're going to use, let me see, where are we here? So we're going to use the number 3. This is number 3. It's greenish mint color. Open this up. It's easier to open it this way. And we're going to use, let me see, a 2.5. So this is the larger end of the purple glitter tool. This is a 2.5 millimeter. And we're going to dot right over these here. You want it to be smaller than that previous dot, that second top dot. Right over. Where'd it go? I lost it for a second. Okay, wiping my tool off. We're going to keep that same 2.5. Now we're going to go to the number 4 paint color, and we're going to go over these dots here. That 2.5. Oops, let me clean my tool off better. Oop. It's going a little too fast. Let me grab a baby wipe real quick. Sorry. Okay, I'm just gonna use a baby wipe, or here, better yet, yeah, never mind, baby wipe. And you can use a wet paper towel too for these bigger dots. Okay, let's go back to number 4. And the 2.5 millimeter. Make sure I am dotting on the right ones. All right, and now we're going to go back to that champagne. And yep, I'm going to stick with a 2.5 millimeter. We're going to dot right over here. Okay, so we are done with the painting. We are going to let this dry for an hour, and then I will show you how to remove your guidelines and touch up with any, I don't see too much I need to touch up. Maybe here, maybe up here, like it looks like my finger got, was wet or something and it pulled up a little bit. But I'll show you how to touch up and remove guidelines. All right, see you in a second. Okay, so you should have let your mandala canvas dry for at least an hour before we wipe off these guidelines. And I'm going to use a baby wipe. You can also use a wet paper towel or a microfiber cloth. But I'm going to use a baby wipe, and we're just going to gently wipe off the guidelines. Super easy. Okay, and so you should have some black paint in your kit. If you see any spots where you've got maybe like a drip, like I've got a little dot there, and I can clean that up a little bit with that black paint. Grab it real quick, and I'm going to use my Q-tip. Q-tip is good for this too, for doing like a spot cleanup. Just use, and you really don't need much. Like that, and that's how we get rid of that little dot. Got a couple little paint dots in here, and I'm just kind of like using my Q-tip as a brush, turning it. Looks like I've got some little paint fingerprints here. Clean up these corners. It's my dog chewing on a bone. Okay. Oh, there's a little spot here. Looks like I had paint on my fingers that was still a little wet. Okay, cleaned up the corners, cleaned up any of those paint splatters, but this is done. And then you've got your easel, and then you can set your painting on your easel. Thank you so much for painting along with me today. I hope you enjoyed creating this beautiful canvas dot mandala and found the process both relaxing and inspiring. If you'd like to see more free tutorials like this, don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel at KICW Ashley. Again, it's at KICW Ashley. For those who want to take their mandala skills to the next level, check out my Patreon at Keeping It Crafty with Ashley, where I offer in-depth masterclasses and tutorials for larger, more intricate mandalas. And if you'd like to stay connected and see my latest creations, follow me on Instagram at Keeping It Crafty with Ashley, TikTok at KICW Ashley, and Facebook Keeping It Crafty with Ashley for updates and inspiration. Until next time, make sure you keep creating, stay inspired, and take care. All right, bye you guys.